Hello, hello, and welcome to Awaken Your Human Design. My name is Moni. This is Danny. And for the week of November 22nd through the 27th, the sun is in gate 34 and the earth is in gate 20.
I'll enjoy talking about this. It's a
Mm.
design of the archetype of a manifesting generator.
Yeah, and this is one of those oppositions that pop up with the sun and the earth where they actually make a channel definition. So the 3420, there's a channel, like that's their own channel, and their sun earth 180 degrees apart. So when this pops up, you know it's kind of a special one because it's going to show up more in the world.
This is the one I always like to tell people, be out in a crowd and watch the busy pick up. Watch the busy pick up. This channel means busy, but
Mhm.
we're going to give away too much.
And if you'd like to book a reading with either Danny or myself, you can check out this QR code above me or it's down in the description box below. And you can use code AWAKEN for 10% off. And we could do a reading and talk about your stuff and get to know each other and have some fun. So check that out.
You definitely want to book a reading if you can. We'll dig in deep. And if you got a 3420, definitely book a reading. Just plan to be present and try to be in a place that's a little still for yourself.
It'll be difficult for 3420. And if you've been getting a lot out of our channel and you'd like to help support us and you'd like to encourage us, then check out this QR code to our donation page. That link's also down in the description box below. And we thank you very much. And thank you for liking and subscribing, commenting, hanging out, asking us questions. We love having you, and let's get into it. So here we can see we have the sun in gate 34, which is power, and this is a sacral center gate, and the earth is in gate 20, which is a throat center gate, and it's contemplation and the gate of now.
So here's the opposition, 3420. You can see the two highlighted gates around the wheel. They're opposite each other. That's what opposition means. And they happen to also make a channel. Now, that only happens two other times in the body graph, and that's 3740 and then 4323 between that. Yep. So this is something that the forces said is a must in the body graph because they make a definition, these three channels will show up with a weighted average higher than all the other channels. So they are more prevalent in the world.
Absolutely, yeah, because they'll show up with the sun and the earth as well as the lunar nodes, because those are
All the
also
other,
in
right,
opposition. Yeah, so
right.
those
So
would
they're
be
just
popping
going to
up more.
show up more. Yeah.
Here we have the sun in gate 34, which is the power of the great and the gate of power. Power is only great when its display or use serves the common good. Gate 34 is a sacral center gate and it has a few different channel activations. So there's two in the integration channel, which is about self-empowerment as a keynote, and that's the 57, gate 57 as intuitive insights, and the 34, 57 make up the channel of power. Gate 34 also hooks up with gate 20, which is now, the gate of the now, and the 3420 is the channel of charisma. Gate 34 also has a channel in individual circuitry, specifically the centering circuit, which the keynote is empowerment. That's where gate 34 links up with gate 10, which is behavior, and the 3410 make up the channel of exploration. Gate 34 is a potent and impressive source of energy, empowering us toward individuation, displaying and celebrating uniqueness to the world. Gate 34 is also asexual.
The
Gate
unavailability of its power to others, because 34 is not really available to the others. It must remain pure in its power. That's why it's asexual. It's the only sacral gate that isn't. And it's always, always accessible to you as you seek the independent and unique nature, meaning as sacral says yay, as sacral says yes. So these gates, man, this 34 empowers all of this stuff. It is the power of the great. And the thing is, this has been a specially long process of recognizing power is only great when its display or use serves the common good. We've been learning this through our seven-centered form. So there was always movement towards this, even though the seven-centered form, as we've talked about many times, is very different from us. Now that we move towards communion, this can finally take its voice. And so there's so much action in here. Integration channels to the 57, the 34 to the 20. To the 57 is the channel of the archetype. And it's an archetype of what, Dan? Well, it's an archetype of what it is to be human and to be a generator, literally, because ultimately 57's intuitiveness is intuitive to the needs of whatever sacral is going to release for its energy, and it's intuitive to what's going to protect it. It's 57 is the extraordinary potential for clarity and insight. And that's insight beyond the pale, insight that basically penetrates. Penetrating awareness is another keynote for this gate and for the channel that 57 makes with 20 when we get to the next page. And that is the empowerment splenically and sacrally to know what it is to survive in the now, to just know moment to moment to moment. My most powerful survival part of the sacral speaks to my most powerful intuition as to what it is to survive. And notice the keynoting. It's no longer survive, it's survive as yourself, your unique self, your independent self. Independent doesn't mean communal, not communal. It just means you're unique, really. You can leave it at just that. And so that's the power. That's why it's called the archetype. When you have this channel, literally, you have to help people understand who you are because everything in you happens so quickly. And if you don't understand who you are, everything in you happens so quickly and you miss it. And then that self mind takes over so much. This channel can get hijacked. They all can. 34 is partly dumb as rocks if it gets the wrong invitation or the wrong whatever and has the wrong response because it can be fooled. It just wants to release its power for the common good. Hey kid, come over here, let's build this fort. And they really just want me to do all the work. Well, later I'll find out I had to do all the work, but at least in the beginning, Sacral was happy, and that's what it can do. And when it gets to the 20, that's more of when it's even hijackable even more. Hey kid, let's build a fort. I hurry and go to help build the fort, even if I'm the only one who ended up doing it, at the end of the day. And 3420 is an archetype of a generator. It is the manifesting generator's archetype. It says busy now, and it brings a manifesting component to the generative life force. And it's a double-edged sword. Like there's no tomorrow, because if you get fooled like I did so many times that I am a manifester, then we cut off that sacral response. We start making mental decisions, and none of it do we really want to do. If you let me read your chart, we'll find 100 spots where that took place, how to see it, and how to start watching that, seeing it makes it sort of stop and be more the power being used towards the best and commonest good. And so 3420, busy now, busy now, busy now. And that's what's in the sky right now. I'd like to do this. Let me go here. Let me go there. You got a 3420 boyfriend, and he just and it's, you got to be careful about what you say because they might get up and do something and It's a design of where awareness must become deed. The archetype was a design of where awareness releases power, but now that we're in the now, and the now is not an awareness gate, it just means, sorry, there's on-off nowness. So if you come to me, you're now. Oops. And meaning forget tomorrow, forget yesterday, just you're right now. And that's when, we answer questions too fast, all that kind of stuff. And then the 34 to the 10. Now this gets into individuality. So the first two, I empower myself. These people shall be self-absorbed. In those moments where they empower themselves, just recognize that it's correct for them. That's all. The 3410 also sort of empowers itself, but it does seek for its exploration to empower the other, like desperately. Its exploration is almost like, if it's true for me, it's true for the rest of the world too. And it's actually a perfect place for this 3420 as long as they're allowing their strategy and authority, which would be sacral, obviously, or sacral emotional if they had solar plex. But as long as they're allowing their strategy and authority to take over, they won't do the things and or share the stuff and empower the people that just waste their energy. But it's hard not to, because it's an inside world. 34 is the gate that takes gate 10 and says, I know you usually are watching the behavior of others and monitoring your own, but now you can't really see the behavior of others because this is self-exploration. Who am I? What am I inside? What risks am I going to take? 28. What bridges shall I leap? 51. All the stuff that leads into this G center and stays within the individual circuitry is incredibly potent in here. And so it's not paying attention. It's self-exploring, finding out its goodness. Where inside, where does my power serve the common good? It speaks like a collective language almost. And in that moment, while that's all happening, it's not paying attention to the behavior of the other. It just can't quite tell. It can put its own behavior right, but it's just isn't there. And so things get caught off guard with that plenty because of self-exploration. If you're a left angle being with self-exploration, with exploration 3410, you'll see more, but you'll still miss a lot. You'll see more, but you'll still miss quite a bit. So on this side of this channel, that which is going to be transiting is the great power of that thing which starts as a bully and ends as what is gate 6 of 34?
34 line 6 is
Common
common
sense.
sense,
Yeah,
knowing when
knowing
enough is
is
enough.
enough.
Oh,
Yes.
oh.
Yes. See, this is supposed to sophisticate the whole way through. That's why in these nodes, it's an odd direction because in the nodes we go to the first line. It's an odd direction to go from this sophisticated place into the bully, but that's basically the direction of that when as the nodes move. But regardless, this goes from the bully, which means to move things with almost indiscriminate force as needed. It's like the thing won't get out of my way. I need it to get out of my way. And you can apply an indiscriminate amount of force at times, short bursts. That's what it is. The release of the power. And by always calling it the release of the power, it suggests and says the power's held back first. So each one is a choice of the release. It's a sacral generated, manifesting generated choice of that. So the bully moves up through momentum is in there somewhere. Yep, that's the second line. There's machismo, triumph, and then finally annihilation is the fifth line. Annihilation is just to remove everything that's in the way as soon as there's a wind at your back and a little momentum, and things just tend to move out of the way. Very manifestory sounding. That's my line. And sixth then becomes common good sense. The good sense to know when enough is enough and that release of power. I want to read this line. I know we don't normally read them, but sorry for taking off my glasses. The good sense when having bitten off more than one can chew to spit out part of it. The restriction of the release of power when one does not necessarily have all the information. So it's a common sense. That's gate 34. It's here to keep us busy empowering ourselves, knowing darn well we're getting all kinds of things done and building lots of things. This is a primary gate of any builder. This and 14 for sure, and 29. Actually, they all are. What am I saying? Everything across the top and the bottom, anyways. So these are the builders. This is a prime building gate, and 34 is an exalted power that, when it serves the common good, serves only the glory and to go one step further, the glory of God. 34 is like God's walking stick in humanity, in a sense. The pad of God's walking stick that takes the beating and keeps on ticking and just, yep.
34 is pretty wild. As an undefined sacral, the 34 can just be such a burst of power. And of course, if you're undefined in the sacral, we're feeling it times two. Like it's like turning a guitar up and then it makes that like distortion
Distortion, yeah.
sound. So like we are experiencing it by double and distorted and all that. But the 34 can feel like a whack in the face. It can feel like a rubber band snap where you're just like, nah, it's just so quick and so intense. And you guys don't even realize it, but it's a wild force of power.
It is, and much of its power, the reason it's asexual is because there's no time for that. This is the protectorate of our individuation. Not the only one, but a prime, you know, centurion guarding the way for the individuation of the being, and if need be, with a display of power to do so to make sure it's getting done. I individuate because I'm unique, and that's what this gate protects through its release of its power, and its decision to release its power very often is from that. Probably only 10 or 12% is really from that, because the rest of it is because we're just frustrated and the power got released. But it's there protecting our individuation and how we become unique. I don't know about them percentages. I retract my percentage estimates because I really can't tell. So I'd like to do that right now.
34, it's just like a wild burst of power.
It's just interesting to notice this. Oh, part of its job is to protect the individuating process, because that's what we're here doing.
Mm.
I'm always pointing out how, hey, you
Mm.
notice all the other circuitry, it serves the knowing circuit. All the other circuitry serves the individual knowing circuit with its centering circuit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like it's all individual. Like there's two integration and then the one centering, but that's all about individual being yourself, self-empowerment, like the power of the identity. I don't know if I ever really like, super thought about the fact that all three of Gate 34's connections, it's all the most powerful in the sacral, like the gate that's the
Right.
most powerful in the sacral is all towards the individual and individuation
Right.
and being yourself
Gate
and
10,
surviving in the world. That's kind of
I
wild.
love me. I empower self exploration to I love me. I am alive. I am power, my individual uniqueness that stays alive and doesn't get killed because because I didn't homogenize. That's what it's doing. And 57 is always alert. It's like, don't homogenize. That's part of its alertness. And 20 is like, I'll bring that power right now if you mess with me now. And it's so all of it does that. I get animated with this. These are the only gates in this little churning zone that don't quite equal a circuit, because integration is not technically a circuit. It's 4 gates that make 6 channels, but it's also where every gate equals integration action and individual action. Each of the gates here, it's the only place where that happens. It equals both.
Gate 20 is the gate of contemplation and the gate of now. Recognition in the now, which transforms understanding into right action. Gate 20 is a throat center gate. It's part of the integration channel, which the keynote is self empowerment. And so gate 20 hooks up with gate 10, which is behavior. And the 2010 makes up the channel of awakening. Gate 20 also hooks up with gate 34, which is power. That's the one we were just talking about. And the 2034 make up the channel of charisma. Gate 20 is also part of individual knowing circuitry, where the keynote is empowerment. It links up with gate 57, which is intuitive insight, and the 2057 make up the channel of the brainwave. Gate 20 is a purely existential gate, keeping you focused in the present, supporting your capacity to survive as yourself. When expression is properly timed, awareness is transformed into words or action that can impact people around you. The energy frequency must be totally absorbed in the present moment, and it has the voice of I am now.
Yeah, the I am now, I am. I don't even necessarily know I am.
I
And I don't
now.
know. Yeah, I just now, I now. And the I is still fuzzy because I is also in gate 10. I is gate 10. And I power now is 34. But I am myself and I know it now is the full expression of integration. And that equals an individuating statement. I am my unique self, empowered to individuate, and I know what I'm doing, being busy right now. So 57 brings the and I know part because that's our awareness. 20 is this whole the most of existential gates. So you think of all the generated gates, you say a responsiveness, that's existential. True. You think of all the spleen gates, totally existential by definition. True. 20 becomes the most existential voice that there ever could be of all of this. It takes the 57 and the 34, and it also takes the 48 into the 16 up there. But in this spot, it brings our awakened behavior. So 20 to 10, my behavior, my love of myself, my love that I know I love my individuated self and empowering that. And I know that I like that. And I'll be really busy about all of that, is an awakened being when it comes straight to the now, because it's, I know I am now. And this is an archetype definition of what it is to be awake, to suddenly go through a whole mystical experience and then just sit in your right now, in your contemplative state. You are the most awake you will ever be. And this gate is called contemplation. By the way, it is so lightning fast that don't fool yourself. This gate is not at the deep button. It is now and present, awaiting the channeling of depth back into the individual, individuating, unique process that is empowered here. Again, empowers us to stay alive, survival, empowers us to stay alive as ourselves, even more impressive. We're impressive little creatures, and when you bring in this gate 20, we're capable of awakening now. And everyone knows it in that contemplative state when suddenly they become awake to something. And as they do it more and more, they become awake to their own nature. Human design is a contemplative process. But again, it's not deep at first. It's awaiting the depth to pour through. And this whole understanding into right action, understanding of what power is great when it is used towards its common good into right action, that sounds like a recipe for greatness. That's why these people are self-contained, self-empowered, and self-absorbed. Because if this is what they're doing, it's like the cat that's not listening to anything about the directions. He's just got to get to the other side with his family. It doesn't matter if he loses part of the bumper. It doesn't matter if he gets a flat tire. There's something, and he's got to get over the thing so that they don't get whatever. This is like that. It's like, hey, it doesn't matter. We're here right now, and I am awake. And then when it gets to 34, we've already done this. 20 to 34 brings my power of my love of myself that knows it's myself into the now. Imagine sitting down with all of that being true in a moment, and you tell me what that contemplation is going to be like. It's going to start out foundationally, which is superficial. 20 is meant to scan right across the whole thing and gain such a superficial depth. Think of these two words. They don't normally go together, but they do for gate 20. They're deep on the surface. We need that. That's like an important thing because there's lots of stuff right on the surface. And then as you get through all of it, the sixth line of this brings us to wisdom. To wisdom. 820 line 6, wisdom, contemplation, which results in the ability to apply the understanding into right action. I have the 6-line role model version of application into right action 34's power that is when released for the common good. 20 will invoke the releasing of the power to meet up with the common good. So 34 is heavily regulated through these three gates as it relates to its release of its power. And the regulation here through gate 20 of 34 is amazing. It regulates it to get to wisdom. No, my child, that is too much energy for the wrong thing, especially when it gets just too frustrated. So this is the contemplation to awaken as your non-frustrated sacral self that has penetrating awareness when you get to 20 and 57. This thing just wants to be incredibly unique. This is the individuating channel here more than any of them as it relates to its uniqueness in the world because it's part of the knowing circuit, the individual mutative knowing circuit. So all of this is giving its mystery in a unique mutative pulse. I am aware of what is next and what is needed intuitively in such a way that we have to call it the brainwave because we have no other name for it that gets to come out in the contemplative now as new truth. The spleen doesn't lie. So as this thing navigates through the individual circuitry, it's able to express the entirety of our individuated purpose. So 34 and 20 even help bump that into action, but this is just 5720. But it takes the purpose of 28 because 28 by definition is a genetic construct that guarantees 57 and integration above it will lean towards the purpose finding and making and meaning making of gate 28. That's a mechanic inside the body graph we can count on. So when 28 is present, this thing is helping to serve that purpose and meaning making. I have power. I individuate in the now for the common good that ultimately gets to 34's version of wisdom, which is common sense, and Gate 20's version of wisdom, which is just straight up wisdom because wisdom can, only place for wisdom is now. Hey, what's your wisdom tomorrow? I have no idea. What's your wisdom now? Blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you. It's only now. So that's this gate 20, wicked existential. And when it's 3420, let's not make it sound too all like it's also amazing. It is amazing, but it's also busy now, recklessly busy now, too busy now, can't figure out what it's doing busy now, doesn't know why it's busy now, is just busy now. If it's
Tornado.
unconscious, they're channeling that they're busy now at the same time, and it's got some extra cosmic meaning and ADD, and they sound like me because I'm a 3420. Sorry,
Tornado.
yes, tornado-y, and it's fun if you can let them be as a child. They start to learn that their job isn't to manifest, although what they respond to is very often made manifest, and that's a really cool sweet spot to be in to see that.
Yeah, gate 20 is, I mean, it's just like you said, it's now in the moment. It's in the moment now. And with the 3420, it's responding with the full sacral power of the 34 in the now.
Starting
It's
from a
a bouncy
superficial
ball.
place. That's the thing, starting from a superficial place. Well, we've
Oh,
run to
because gate
know
20 is superficial.
it just has to be. Dude, right
You
now,
can't go deep in the moment. You're just
I'm right now, dude.
in the
I haven't
moment.
figured out the physics of the universe yet. I'm on day one of class one. I'm right, right, just started school on that, type thing. So but it's super deep right now. It's now, whatever now that layer of now is, it's got a depth in it, but no more. It's got to educate. And that's why it's a whole 6-line process to get to that. So we've given a lot of bad press to this word superficiality, or superficial. In this case, it's a grand thing because it stops 34 and 57 and 10 from wasting their time that isn't going to make it past the surface.
Yeah, not everything needs to be deep. Like deep stuff needs to be deep. Shallow stuff needs to be shallow, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be some like weird judgment. It's just
Right.
the present moment. It's like if you throw a pebble in, a pebble in a pond or something like that. Like it's just in the moment, it's just gonna be another pebble, another pebble, another pebble that's constantly hitting the shore, or raindrops.
Yes.
Raindrops falling on water. It's just in the moment, in the moment, in the moment, and then it dissipates into the everything else. So there
Right.
is just the
Literally.
now.
Right on the surface. And if you're a foot below, you can barely even tell it's raining.
There you go.
The fish don't like suffer. It's like, oh, it's raining out here. They just don't get that, man.
They don't have their tiny fish umbrellas.
It's only on the surface.
Continuing on to our incarnation crosses for the week. First up, we have the right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix, which adds the 59 and 55 to the 3420 we've been discussing. People with great personal power and charisma who are busy attracting others with their busyness. Power and intimacy, when directed by spirit, serves humanity. Then we'll move into the juxtaposition cross of power, which adds the 40 and the 37 to the 34 and 20. Busyness focused on the pure display of charisma or power in support of the community. The entertainer or deal making business executive. Finally, we'll move into the left angle cross of duality, which also adds the 4037. People who bridge humanity's basic dilemma, duality, between individual charisma and selfishness and communal responsibility. Busyness properly aligned with loving communal support.
Duality is such an amazing, amazing place. This is the churning and the proving ground for what then moves into what 40 and 37 are going to bring, which in this cross is going to move to gate 9, and it's going to bring the very next cross will be planning in gate number 9. It's leading to Phoenix is a busyness that brings us to planning. And part of that busyness is this 3420, because 34 is in the sun, 20 being the earth that makes that channel, and it's called the channel of charisma. And the reason it has that name is not because it's extra suave and debonair in that kind of way. It's not the kind of charisma that's like fifth line necessarily super attractive or even necessarily good looking. It's the kind of charisma that reads to the other as, oh, they have power right now. And when someone displays that, and that display is for the common good, that seems charismatic to the other, because out of that person, the awareness becomes deed. That's what this channel demands, that is in the sun and the earth on the personality side. And in that moment, the phoenix still can't rise unless there's the right intimacy, and that is 59 and 55. So what it says is the power is juxtaposed to the sense of spirit in communion tightly with another. It can be others, it totally is and can be, but there's absolutely that 55 spirit is filled with the love of another. And that's sort of our human story, if you think about it. The story of mankind is that. And it certainly is still. So this is a confusing place. This place is busy chasing its spirit. If it's not looking out, it's using mental activity to make decisions to do that and getting caught in all kinds of things rather than following its natural responsive nature to have a strategy that hears in response what is and is not true for that being. It happens in the now, where gate 20 will bring you. And if you just look, you'll see it. So the phoenix is meant to rise and bring all this incredible new energy. It's part of the changing that happens in 2027 when we change the background frequency, and the greater global cycle and the precession of the equinox turn us into the sleeping phoenix from the cross of planning. Very interesting. These two are moving in this direction, because the very next churn of this is going to be a direction moving in the opposite direction, um, on the wheel. Anyway, moving on, the juxtaposition of power. This is actually really good. This one here is a busyness towards business, because 37 and 40 are all about the tribe and supportiveness and bargains and the deal. And it's not just about business at all, because the bargains and the deal and the sense of loyalty and the commitment to show up have to transcend the standard self-absorbed busy nature of the being, which is about to happen in duality. But in this juxtaposition, it's simply fourth line externalizing and investigating the nature of its own power and the nature of what intimate connections will it bond with that fill its spirit. And in doing so, the bargains that are there automatically will turn into material success for these people. Unless they go overboard, there's so much not self that can happen here and lose all of that. To find out you're not self, click the code in the top when Moni puts it back up, and you'll book an appointment. We'll tell you all about it. When you get to this duality, this is good because it is the dualistic nature. This is the 5-1 through the 6-3, 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, 6-3 profiles. So as soon as you get to that 5-1 profile, you got the heretic, and the heretic that can spread a message and bring the news and show up. And with the bonding ego power of 3740 behind it, these people have to come to grips with part of me is busy now, don't tell me what to do. And the other part of me is, but we have stuff to do, and there's bargains, and there's deals, and we're in part of a tribe, and we have to transcend this together so that I don't limit you too much. The 3740. This is an incredible consciousness building place for humanity. We are a duality. Everything's a duality. It keeps showing up that way. This we get to see in action. This whole week long, witness how when you get into the second half of the week, there is this dualistic tug and pull nature to what is going on. Part of you knows you have to support everything, and part of you knows you must empower for the common good your own individuation. Imagine that. I must selfishly individuate as that is for the common good. And it's so easy to see if you just picture yourself as a bunch of cells in a petri dish. They will move to homeostasis towards their own common good. They don't eat each other. They just try and live as long as the food materials are there. And this is that petri dish. Hey, let's all get along as cells, but each cell is unique. Each cell is literally different. And that's how we are as humans to the maximum degree. We need to maximally individuate into our unique self while at the same time keeping track that we have tribal commitments to make. I mean, so sometimes Sacral says, but the voice on the other end of the tribe is like, dude, really? And suddenly you got to schlep yourself right through to do the dang thing. And believe it or not, if you have a 3740, in that moment, the duality of it is softened because 3741, it does the work, gets a different reward, different from satisfaction. And as a sacral being, it will feed into satisfaction. And that ego reward is just that. It's called an ego reward. It feels good every time the ego finishes something. So that busyness of duality gets tamed by the feel good of the ego, both of which lead into satisfaction for this beast right here. All that motor action. I mean, come on. That represents 3 of the 4 motors in the body graph, with the ego being one of them, the will to do. And this is busy now with the will to do, and the will to do can feel just as good as the satisfaction to take the busy now that is inherently selfish and turn it back towards the tribe, because we need to milk the dang cows, because just help, you got to help grandma get to the bus. Something that takes you off track and puts you into that communal supportive nature that the sensitivity of the tribe has towards the needs of the tribe. And that is very much also to get to work, do the thing, whatever it was that you agreed to do for your place here. So we can't individuate beyond the capacity to stay integrated with our tribal brothers and sisters. It's always going to be needed. So you busy people out there, recognize that, and recognize, just like when you didn't feel like going somewhere, but when you got there, it was plenty fun and it worked out great. This is like that. You'll do the things that Sacral says to a little bit, like in that kind of way. You'll know it. It's a distinction you'll make for yourself, and you'll realize, but I sort of have to. And the ego will take over, and there is your duality. Ego willpower to do versus sacral willpower to individuate. One is for the tribe, one is for the self, and these things are protecting each other, and they protect each other right into the cross of planning, which is next, which is the background frequency we've had over us this whole time, making us build stuff and plan it out, and urban developments and school times, and everything works right, and on time delivery. That's the cross of planning. And schools and institutions and governments and too much hierarchy and too many regulations, that's the cross of planning too.
Finally, we have our hexagrams for the week. First up, we have the sun in gate 34, which is power, or in my I Ching book, it reads as great vigor. The trigrams are thunder over heaven. The image reads, thunder dwells above heaven, great vigor. A noble one treads no path that is without ritual. The action of thunder rests on the underlying principles of heaven. The noble one, acting with great vigor, will not be improvising and adapting as he goes along. Such great energy needs better guidance if it is to avoid injury. He follows ritual. That is, he acts in ways that observe the principles of creation and follows their patterns. Is not so much a matter of respecting the rules for their own sake as of respecting what is known to work because it is in harmony with the nature of things.
The need for guidance is so true for the 3420 and for the 34. Ra would always point out anytime you can get a channel of structuring opposition 4323 around these people, that helps keep things in order, projectors too. And so that is a good point with this heaven, thunder over heaven just sounds right. And the whole thing is speaking to the obeyance of natural law, essentially, not the obeyance of man's law, so to speak, because it's not saying don't individuate. It's saying just you still have to at least obey the laws where you can get hurt. And it's so true. 3420
Physics.
just breaks things. We just break digits and stuff. It's not unheard of in any kind of way that we break a bone. It's like, oops. It's good advice. I liked it.
And then we have the earth in gate 20, which is contemplation. And in my I Ching book, it reads as seeing. The trigrams are wind over earth. The image reads, wind moves over the earth, seeing. The ancient kings studied the regions, saw the people, and established their teachings. The wind blowing over the earth follows its contours, and so it moves freely and goes everywhere. The influence of the wise kings traveled just as freely because they understood that to convey any idea, share any plan, or impart any wisdom, it works best to be as fluid as the wind. They did not set out to impose a predetermined rigid curriculum, regardless of lived reality. They would have left people unable to relate to the teachings. They went out first to see real people and study the nuances of their daily lives. Then they could teach.
It just speaks to bringing us into the now, and the wind has always been part of the story of the channel of the brainwave with the penetrating awareness and the gentle 57 that speaks to gate 20 so quickly. The wind over earth, the wind will always seem to bring, like the story is telling us, the wisdom, which is the sixth line for gate 20. It all seems to sort of link in, starting from superficiality, moving up to this. The wind, is it windy? The wind is windy, and it brings its secret depth. And by the way, the wind only can be now. You can only experience the wind now, and the wind moves the now. The earth holds the now, but the wind moves it, in a way.
The visualization of that trigram, like wind over earth, like that feels like now everywhere all the time there's wind over the earth and it's
Yep.
always changing and it's always there. And then now, like, it's like that makes perfect absolute sense.
Yep. Yay.
Yay. Tying it all together for our audience, what can we tell them about the sun in gate 34 and the earth in gate 20? How can they see it? How can they play with this? What do they do with this super powerful energy in the now?
If you're a non-sacral being, prepare to get a lot less rest. Bulk up, beforehand, because you will be plagued by this the whole week. It will be inside
It's
your
a lot.
body. For,
It's a lot.
Someone's got to sort of separate out the two different types, the sacrals from the non-sacrals. But just
Oh,
generally, on
100%.
on
Definitely
planet
100%.
Earth, you can expect a ramped up busyness. You can expect plenty of frustration to explode into view. When I say explode, take that mildly, except in certain cases where it won't be mild. Don't be surprised, because that frustrated energy is there, and inside this archetype of the manifesting generator, it pops at anger. It's like a little thing. It's designed to pop, right? Oh, it's designed to pop, and then the spring puts it right back on, and it's like, and it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and then it pops, and the spring puts it back on. That's the manifesting generator. But that pop moment it appears as rage. I mean, in its most pristine form, it will appear as extreme anger and rage. Mostly it appears as just like really frustrated and pissed, but it can go all the way up to that rage point and appear that way. If that happens to you, please notice it and recognize how impersonal it was. It was always at an inanimate object, almost always, or having to do with an inanimate object. And yes, it can have to do with the other, but just notice you always pull yourself back. You're not really quite willing to do the thing that would go against the wisdom and for the highest and common best use that serves the common good. Witness that. And as it does serve the common good, just witness you're able to be busy. Everyone on planet Earth can go around and do every last thing all over the place. And I suggest you do, right? And find out who you bump into and what new. This is a churning place. You know, the muck at the bottom of a river? Well, there's might be lots of good stuff down there. Let's pretend it's a non-polluted river, okay? And there might be
Or you'll
lots of
find
good
somebody's lost wedding ring and some gold
just well
coins.
that
A
as well
treasure.
as the nutrition that's under there. Let's
Mm.
churn up this river base a little bit. Probably not too much. Fish might not dig it, but just the right amount. This is a churning thing to churn up just the right amount of humanity's separateness. We've been separate a lot. This is a great time along with the energy that comes in through 3740, even though it's on the design side, we're not actually programmed to that, but just saying this is going to bring a churning and a mixing and allow it to mix, because if everyone's busy, that what do busy things do? They expand. So I'll expand into your little sphere, you'll expand into mine, because your busyness will put you in a car two more times than it would have that day because of your busyness. Allow that and take your family with you and do some stuff and recognize the power of frustration, because it's supposed to be there. It's just supposed to have its wisdom limits on it. It's only there to see on the surface. Stop being frustrated when you don't have the rest of the depth in the now. And enjoy that process. Dig a hole. That's my favorite thing for all these sacral gates. Go dig a hole.
Move some rocks.
Move some rocks. Use your hands for sure. Box up things. Just do something. Notice that you're uncomfortable sitting still without a busy mind, busy hands, or a busy body. If you're more sedentary, by the way, consume data like there's no tomorrow. Turn it on and start pulling it in. You'll be busy with that mental activity and you'll have the energy to do it. Have food handy. Your brain will sap your vitality and it'll need, plenty of juices and food and stuff, fruit. What might you add to this?
Yeah, thank you. For the non-sacral perspective, this is definitely, yeah, super busy, super, super busy, and you can do a lot of things, and it can feel really fun for like maybe a day or two. And then it can start feeling uneasy, even could be like nauseating, like a stomach churning, like it's too much. So for the non-sacrals, like play with the busyness, enjoy it, but realize like, and remember, like this isn't your toy and you're just give it back, and go lay down a little bit to discharge some of that sacral energy because you'll find you can do a lot and you can be really busy and run around. It can be really fun for a little bit, and then it gets to the point of like it's
Too
overwhelm
much.
and then you're just glitching out. Yeah. And if you start feeling like you're glitching out, go horizontal, lay down. Like you don't even necessarily have to sleep, like play on your phone, read a book, do whatever it is, but just be horizontal to discharge that energy. Anyone with an undefined sacral this week, be more horizontal more frequently and it will your body will thank you, your energy will
And
thank you.
in an intentional discharging way when you do that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm totally down with get some sun if you have a window facing south and can get some sun on you at the same time, something like that. Really, it is a good idea all the way around. Really, that's it. Allow the busyness to pour through you. Don't let it go too much and just recognize the wisdom here. The wisdom of both gates when you add them together is incredible. So just choose to know that as a keynote so you can apply it through the whole week. You don't have to be in the line to apply the wisdom, right? I mean, I do it. It's power, release of power for the common good, and the wisdom to know when enough is enough, and with good sense when you bit off more than you can chew to spit some out. Wisdom, the wisdom to know when enough is enough and to allow that power to truly serve the common good, and the capacity to notice what does frustration work like. Get to know that thing so in the future, it doesn't overcome you. This is a great place to spot it. And back into the mixing pot. Mix it up this week. Don't even have to know what it's going to mean. You're in integration land with this. You don't have to know the other to bump into them and just be out in the world and expand your reach just because you're more busy. Look at it like an excited pile of atoms in a boiling pot of water. They expand. What to do.
Yeah, and to add one more little aspect to it, I always like to start it with the earth and what we're grounding ourselves in. So if we're grounding ourselves with the earth in gate 20, which is contemplation and the now, before the power of the sun shines through us, then maybe try practicing pausing before the busy and the response. Like practice that like moment of like, let me like take a moment and rest and or meditate or pause, or just before I just go jumping into doing
What a neat
everything, like just
idea.
regroup. Yeah, thank you. Regroup into, okay, let me just like take a minute to quiet my mind so then something can appear to me that I'm like, yes, that is what I want to put my energy into because it's going to
What a
get
great
really busy
idea.
anyway. Thank you. But yeah, if you just get lost in the power of the 34 and it is intense, you could get lost. You could get really glitchy and you can just kind of run around like crazy until you're just like twitching until you finally collapse and it's like super not fun. But if we kind of play with the earth first and that pause in the moment, take a breath, take 3 breaths, 5 breaths, take a look around, close your eyes, whatever it is that you're going to do to like kind of chill yourself out, to contemplate and pause in the moment and then see what you want to put that energy and power into.
Absolutely. That now is it. The gate is called contemplation. I mean, that's a literal keynote. Wait, contemplate, and do it for the sake of the generative life force that's in you right now. It is a generator. This is a definition. By definition, it's a manifesting generator. So wait to respond, especially if you're open sacral. See what that feels like. I would like a report back from all the open sacral people to get a little checklist of a little grayscale of what is that like. That would be interesting.
That's a good idea.
Yep. Yep.
Huh.
So
I wonder how that will even like, yeah, I got to play with that.
well, we have to have at some point when it's big enough and people will chime in, we'll be able to ask questions and get feedback and chart that and compile that in a chart and create good information.
If you'd like to book a reading with either Danny or myself, check out the QR code right above me, and that'll take you to our link. We also have it down in the description box below, and you can use code AWAKEN for 10% off, so you can save a little bit. We can hang out and read your chart. And if you've been getting a whole lot out of our show and you'd like to donate, check out that QR code also down in the description box below. If you'd like to encourage us and support us, you've been getting a lot out of it, and thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Much love. We'll catch you the next time.
Yeah,
We'll
catch you
catch you
next week.
during planning.
The next Incarnation Cross. Catch you next time. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, hanging out, commenting, asking us questions. We love having you, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Much love, everyone.